Good afternoon, everyone. In last class, we have discussed few definitions and utility of jurisprudence. In this class, we'll discuss with few more definitions of jurisprudence. So basically, one thing I just want to tell you all, that in every examination, it is whether it is competitive examination or LLM entrance examination or NET examination, jurisprudence is a very important subject. They directly ask definition of a thinker by quoting its full definition and asking you to answer whose theory is this or whose definition is this. So in every definition you need to remember the basic thing about that thinker. Only then you will be able to tell the name of the author, because there are many thinkers, there are many theories, there are many definitions, so it would be difficult for you to remember it. So let's start with the definition of Salmond. Salmond defines jurisprudence as the first principle of law. First principle of law means first principle of civil law. First principle of civil law, when he is saying that jurisprudence is a science of first principle of law, he meant to say that the jurisprudence is the branch of a law which is a civil law or a law which is a law of the state, right? So Salmond, most important thing is in his definition is positive science of principles of civil law. Civil law is very important. And secondly, he has supported Gray. You all must remember Gray, who, according to whose opinion, jurisprudence is the rules propounded by the courts to administer justice. ये ग्रे ने कहा था. So Salmond is supporting Gray, that it means that Salmond is also of the view that jurisprudence is the laws or principles formed by the court for administering justice. So when we are saying that this is a juristic law, it means that it is a law which regulates external conduct of a human being, right? So when Salmond says that it is a law which regulates external conduct of human being, means it is denying morality, means it is denying moralistic view on jurisprudence. Means law is nothing to do with anything with your inner beliefs or morals, right? Second, Salmond has divided jurisprudence into two parts. First, generic. Second, specific. So by generic, he means that body of legal doctrines, means entire body of a legal doctrine, law in its whole sense. But by saying specific, he opined that a particular branch of such doctrine, means when we are dealing law, we are not dealing law as in its entirety, we are dealing it as a criminal law which is related with criminal, we are dealing with property law which is related with property, etc. Right? Next is, when we are using the phrase science of law, that means Salmond opined that jurisprudence may be of three kinds. When we are saying that jurisprudence is the science of, is the first principle of science of civil law, then here the science of law means that jurisprudence may be divided into three parts. First is expository or systematic, means in this we deals with the contents of actual legal system as existing at a time. At a time means whether in present or past. So that is expository and systematic, where we deal with the contents of a legal system present at a time, whether it is in present or past. Second is, it can be divided into legal history. Legal history is concerned with the legal system in its process of its historical development. So that is called as legal history. Next is the science of legislation. What is the science of legislation? Means the purpose of which is to set forth the law as it ought to be. Means science of legislation means to set forth the laws as it ought to be. As you all remember, in the first class I told you that law must be dynamic. It is a dynamic concept. It should be changing as per the needs of the society. So when we are discussing that law as is ought to be, that means there are some issues pertaining to that society which leads to development of that law. So that is the work of legislation. When there is a need of any law, so this is the responsibility of legislation to make the law on that particular subject. That's why we are saying it the science of legislation. So next thinker is Hobbes. Basically Hobbes was a staunch supporter of monarchy. His famous book is Leviathan, Leviathan, Leviathan. In Leviathan he forcefully mentioned that the only thing or only organization you can say, or only person you can say can govern the people is monarch. And as per Hobbes, men in its natural form means men in its natural state of mind. Natural state of existence means when there is no sanction, there is no government available to follow to make us to follow law. When men in its natural sense, like nomadic kind of thing, in that sense man is a selfish creature, right? A selfish creature who can kill other person for their own benefit, for protecting human being from human being. As per his view, that there should be some authority who can govern the people. So Hobbes is a staunch supporter of monarchy, right? Next is Blackstone. Blackstone was an eminent jurist of 18th century, but issue is he has given so much to the definition of jurisprudence, but he has done the same mistake as he confused law with justice and law as what it ought to be. Next is John Austin. Austin calls jurisprudence as a philosophy of positive law. By positive law he meant that a law made by a political superior person for its political inferior person for their obedience, right? Positive law, philosophy of positive law. So positive, main emphasis of positive law theory, we'll discuss it in later on also, but let me tell you something about it, that John Austin was a staunch supporter of the positive law. By positive law he meant that there should be a political superior who makes rule for the political inferior person. For what? Just to govern them, right? Just to govern them. And if they will not obey that rules, there are sanctions attached to it. So by using this word positive law, it sounds that this positive law of Austin is identical to the civil law of Salmond, right? So it is identical to civil law of Salmond. Austin, as per Austin, आपका science of law concern as a law, as it concerned with the law as it is, right? Science of law as concerned with the law as it is, मतलब जो इस वक्त है, ना कि क्या होना चाहिए, ठीक है? तो what it is at present time, not what it ought to be. Ought to be मतलब क्या होना चाहिए. So Austin also divided jurisprudence into two parts. First is general, second is particular. So general का मतलब है the principles and rules common to all nations. Of course, as we all, you can think that general. What do you mean by general? The thing which is common to everyone. So principles and rules which are common to all nations, this इसे उन्होंने नाम दिया जनरल jurisprudence. नेक्स्ट बोला उन्होंने पर्टिकुलर, मीन्स द लीगल सिस्टम एंड रूल्स एंड प्रिंसिपल्स विच गवर्न अ पर्टिकुलर नेशन, followed by a particular nation, that is that Austin called as a particular. But Holland has criticized Austin's this differentiation of jurisprudence. Holland says science is science. You cannot science is science. You cannot divide it in general or in particular thing. So next is Holland. Holland has defined jurisprudence as a science of positive law. And here also positive, by using the word positive law, Holland means principles of external human action. Principle of external human action enforced by a political sovereign authority. So when you hear the sentence positive law, that means they are supporting a sovereign law, means a law made by a political superior person. किसके लिए? सब्जेक्ट्स के लिए. कौन सब्जेक्ट्स? जो पॉलिटिकल इंफीरियर हैं उनके ओबे करने के लिए, राइट? नेक्स्ट आपका आता है हार्ट, HART, हार्ट. हार्ट ने ज्यूरिस्प्रूडेंस को देखा साइंस ऑफ लॉ इन अ ब्रॉडर पर्सपेक्टिव. अब ब्रॉडर पर्सपेक्टिव क्या होगा? ब्रॉडर पर्सपेक्टिव ये होगा कि ही हैज कोरिलेटेड लॉ विथ मोरालिटी, ठीक है? क्योंकि जो एनालिटिकल स्कूल था 20th सेंचुरी का, एनालिटिकल स्कूल का जो ओरिजिन हुआ था वो क्यों हुआ था? दैट वाज just because of a criticism against this positive law thinkers, this positive law theory, because in positive law everything is attached to the sovereign only. There's nothing left with individual. That is the reason. And why it is so? Because they were treating law beyond the morality, justice and equality. So in 20th century, analytical school of jurisprudence or analytical jurisprudence has developed as against the thinking and policies of this positive school of jurisprudence. And the main exponent who should be given the credit to bring law or adjust law or correlate law with other sciences is Hart. So Hart has given jurisprudence a new perspective by correlating it with morality, right? So this was Hart. Now Roscoe Pound. Roscoe Pound की सबसे इम्पॉर्टेंट थ्योरी है, we'll discuss it, बट अभी मैं आपको बताती हूँ सोशल इंजीनियरिंग की थ्योरी. सो क्यों मैंने आपको ये बताया? बिकॉज जब मैं आपको बोल रही हूँ Roscoe Pound related with social engineering theory, that means he has also correlated law with social sciences. Because as per Roscoe Pound, in every issue there is something social. So every law, origin of every law depend on what? Depend on a issue pertaining to that society. So for solving that issue we need a new law. That's why Roscoe Pound has also emphasized on correlating law and other social sciences, law and society. So this is all about today's lecture. In next lecture we'll discuss different schools of jurisprudence.